Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Hello everyone and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce all the wonderful products you enjoy, brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau.
Virginia farmers are helping feed the world in more ways than one. Chef Maxwell has a ham and cheese sandwich recipe with a summertime twist, and Campbell County, Virginia is a farming powerhouse.
Welcome back everyone. We are coming to you from Swift Creek Berry Farm and Greenhouse in Chesterfield County. And fortunately for Americans, there is an abundance of food here in the United States. That's not the case, however, in many other countries. One Virginia farmer is doing her best to empower the people of Malawi to feed themselves.
Joy Powers may look like a normal 26-year-old woman, but this Bedford County farmer had a life-changing experience a few years ago after a mission trip to Africa. In 2014, Powers traveled to Malawi, where she fell in love with the people of the area. When she returned to Virginia, she received an email in early 2015 that let her know the country she fell in love with was in dire need for help following a devastating flood that ravaged the country. Families watched their loved ones wash away, children clinging to trees all night. Days spent following the disaster searching and identifying the dead. More than 250,000 people lost their homes, possessions, and livelihoods, and 200 people died. Before the floods, the people already faced a malnourishment epidemic. Now they were quickly facing starvation. That's when Powers decided to help those communities rebuild agricultural businesses to not only provide economic stability, but hope. She began organizing Restore the Harvest.
There's a lot of agriculture inefficiency in Africa, as well as other parts of the world, but particularly in Southeast Africa, we see a lot of land deprivation. We see a lot of livestock that's not really being used to the full potential. So our goal is to restore what's already there, but also at the same time restore the people.
Soon Powers and others concerned with the conditions in Malawi were working together to ensure families there and around the world would have a better life. Education is a key tool that helps them reap successful harvest.
The communities that we work with are strictly dependent on agriculture for all livelihood. They're isolated from any other type of industry. When you deplete agriculture in communities like this, you end up actually taking their food source away, but also the money they would use for education or healthcare.
Restore the Harvest began partnering with farmers around the world, providing hands-on agricultural aid and guidance.
A lot of people ask me, like, how can you even grow things in Africa? But, Malawi is an extremely fertile country if it's properly maintained. So one of the biggest problems that we ran into at first was people burn their land a couple times a year to clear it. And they plant the same crops for the past 75 years on the same field, which depletes all soil quality and nutrients.
As a family farmer who grew up on a beef cattle operation, Powers knows firsthand how important good agricultural practices are to keep the land fertile. On mission trips, Powers uses her own knowledge and reaches out to other farmers to share their production tips.
We look for individuals with a passion for agriculture and a passion for teaching to come with us on the ground. And then if someone doesn't feel like that's the appropriate thing for them, they can always sponsor a specific project. For example, we had a family purchase a farm in Malawi that ends up now employing 30 to 40 people who didn't have a source of income before.
You don't have to be a farmer to help with Restore the Harvest efforts in Malawi. Powers says outreach programs in Virginia have helped with donations.
We also do outreach programs with churches and civic groups. So we come in and we share. We do programs like hunger banquets. So we'll actually prepare meals from you from Malawi so you can get kind of a more understanding of not only the situation on the ground, but the food these people have and what that's like.
The nonprofit organization began in 2017, employing about 40 seasonal workers and a director of operations in Malawi. Here in the U.S., Powers and a team of 10 volunteers coordinate the charity's efforts. To learn more about Restore the Harvest and how you can help, go to restoretheharvest.squarespace.com.
After the First World War, the U.S. became the largest food producer in the world. Humanitarian efforts to send food to war-torn European countries, especially in Central and Eastern Europe, were also part of a strategy to contain the spread of communism. After the Second World War, foreign food assistance became a formal part of U.S. foreign policy. Programs like the Marshall Plan and later the Food for Peace program sent surplus grains and foodstuffs to countries that backed U.S. initiatives. That trend continues today. In 2015, the U.S. provided $1.9 billion in food aid assistance overseas, reaching 36 million beneficiaries in 43 countries.
Hi, today we're going to be talking about row covers from the ground up. Please stay tuned.
Farm Bureau is the insurance provider of choice for farmers. But did you know all Virginians can benefit? In fact, most of our members are not farmers. As a member, you are supporting worthy causes like local Virginia food banks and the Ag in the Classroom program. Your $40 membership will easily pay for itself with the many savings options as well. Farm Bureau is made for Virginians. To learn more about the membership advantage, go to vafb.com or visit your local Farm Bureau.
Cloth row covers are more than just a tool to prevent frozen plants. Chris Mullins with Virginia Cooperative Extension tells us that they're even effective when temperatures warm up from the ground up.
Well, hello and welcome. Today we're at Fauquier Education Farm. We're here with Mr. Jim Hankins, the executive director here. Thanks, Jim, for letting us come out here today. We're going to be talking about row covers. And that's not just for commercial growers, but the home gardeners can use that also, can't they?
Row covers are one of the most beneficial things you can do for a really wide variety of vegetable crops that you might have in your garden.
Okay.
You know, this year we have row covers on Chinese cabbage, broccoli, eggplant, cucumbers, cantaloupe,
Quite a variety.
Quite a wide variety of stuff. We are familiar with using them in spring and fall for season extension, to protect from frost.
Right.
This time of year, they're outstanding for insect protection. You know, it is a white fabric that insects just cannot go through.
Okay.
Like right here behind me, I've got eggplant.
Okay.
So many of us have set out nice little eggplant transplants, and within the first week, flea beetles will just destroy them.
Right.
So these were set out. I did spray them one time and cover them up, and I will leave that covered until it's a big, robust plant and is starting to pollinate.
Okay.
I'll have to uncover it at that point so that the pollinators can get to the blossoms, but at that point it's a big, healthy, vigorous plant, and it can take the flea beetle pressure.
That makes sense. Now, do they get too hot under there, or is it a good climate for them under there?
It's an outstanding microclimate underneath the row cover. It has so many more benefits than just that insect protection. A day like today, the sun is mighty bright out here.
Right.
So it is protecting these plants with just a little bit of shade. They get plenty of sun.
Okay.
But it is protecting from the worst, most harsh part of the UV rays. It's protecting from wind. It is reducing the transpiration that happens with the plants, where they're having to suck up a lot of water from the ground just to put it back into the air. This helps reduce that. It reduces the plant's stress, and they love it under there.
That is great. So you got eggplants. Let's look at these. Let's take this back and see what they look like.
And it's just held down with these simple little, they're called sod staples. There's nothing too magical about it. These have not been out there very long. But without protection, these little eggplant, which have only been in a week, but without protection, they'd already be covered with flea beetles.
This whole structure that you've got here, and you've got long rows of it, How do you put it together? Is it easy? Is it inexpensive? How expensive? How do you put it together?
It's really, really simple. I buy these pre-bent wire hoops. You can get them in a lot of seed catalogs, most of the major seed catalogs, you know. You can buy straight pieces of wire and bend them yourself. It's just to keep the fabric up off of the plant.
Okay. How far apart are they? Do you place those generally?
I've got them about 8 feet. You know, I have a lot of wire hoops. You don't want it way too infrequent, so it's sagging.
Okay.
But there's no real science to it, you know. And then you put the fabric over top. It is really well worth saying that the fabric on the edges has no strength. You know, you can pull right through it.
I see, okay.
So what I always do is where I'm putting the staples in, I just roll the fabric a little bit.
Okay.
And then
right in there. And then
Right
if you keep this kind of tight, it's gonna...
Yep, and you know, if we get one down here, and don't put one into my irrigation tubing.
That's right.
And that's really all it is. It's not rocket science, but it makes a really significant difference.
Well, wonderful. I think this has a lot of potential for home gardeners.
Yep.
Well, thanks, Jim, again for letting us come out here today and talk to you about this. Well, for more information about row covers, contact your local county extension office and talk to a master gardener. For From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins. We'll see you next time.
From the Ground Up is presented with the generous advice and assistance of Virginia Cooperative Extension. Visit their website at ext.vt.edu.
Do you like grilled cheese sandwiches? Chef Maxwell has a unique twist on this American favorite coming up next in the heart of the home.
It's berry season in Virginia, and blackberries are just the best. Today, Chef John Maxwell uses blackberries to kick up an old favorite in the heart of the home.
Hi, I'm Chef John Maxwell. Welcome to the heart of the home. We're here in Doswell, Virginia at Meadow Hall, Meadow Event Park, where we get a chance to play with great Virginia food every week, and we play with it in our kitchen so that you get to play with it in yours. Today, we're going to be working with blackberries. The place is full of blackberries this time of year. They're pick your own places. There's big farms that process it into the grocery stores. There's just blackberries everywhere. All right, so I've got some blackberries in this pan, and I'm getting ready to cook those. We're going to be making a grilled cheese sandwich. I know that sounds a little down market for what we're used to doing on this show, but this is a grilled cheese sandwich with Smithfield ham and blackberry mustard. So getting ready to make the mustard. So I'm going to turn the heat on underneath the blackberries. Let that start to get hot. Add a couple of more of those berries in there. I like them. As they get hot, they'll get soft. I'm going to add a little bit of spicy mustard into this. Give it some nice flavor. Going to add some minced rosemary, some cayenne pepper, and some good Virginia honey. It comes out to us out of Lexington, Virginia. I'm going to add that. There we go. And now I'm going to stir this all up. Get it hot. Want it good and hot before the sugar goes in so that it'll dissolve quickly. Otherwise, there's a chance that it'll crystallize and gum up your stuff. All right. Let that simmer for just a minute. Minced rosemary a little bit more. Okay, this is going to take a couple of minutes just to cook down till it gets a little syrupy. Meanwhile, I've got this bread. It's just a loaf bread. I'm going to cut off another slice here. We need to make sure it's nice and even. Right. Now you can use any bread you want on this. I happen to like a nice durable loaf so that it holds up as I'm grilling it. Since we're going to spread this, I want it to be mushed up. Don't want whole berries here. Chunks of berries are fine. All right, now I've cooked this down about 20 minutes. I've cooked it down so it's nice, rich, mustardy taste with the blackberries. I've lowered the volume somewhat. We're getting ready to put this sandwich together. All right, so I've got a slice of bread. I've buttered one side. I'm going to put some the ham on this side. All right, and I'm going to take the blackberry mustard and put it on the other side. Okay, I've got oil in the pan. I'm going to add a little bit of butter to that. And that starts to melt. This is the grilled cheese sandwich, but I've got one more step to go. I've got to add some cheese to this. Now I'll put the bread back on it. Now this is going to take a little while for it to brown off on one side, and then we'll turn it over. That looks gorgeous. Here we go. I'm going to cut this. Here we go. We've got a grilled Smithfield ham and blackberry mustard sandwich. That's some good eating. So join us next week on Heart of the Home, where we get to play with great Virginia food.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com, as well as on Chef Maxwell's website at chefjohnmaxwell.com. Midsummer is peak berry season for most of Virginia. While strawberry season ends in early June, blueberries, blackberries, and raspberries are ripe and ready for picking in ensuing months. Most fresh Virginia berries are sold at pick-your-own operations, farmers markets, and roadside stands. They're available in 75 Virginia localities, from the mountains of western Virginia to coastal communities. In fact, populous Loudoun County has the largest number of berry farms in the state. Many consumers pick berries and bring them home to process and can for later use.
Campbell County in South Central Virginia is very close to the city of Lynchburg. In our regular County Agricultural Close-Up series, Dave Miller tells us that Campbell County farmers are successfully adapting to major market changes.
Settled in 1736 and organized as a county in 1781, Campbell County was named for a Revolutionary War hero, General William Campbell. For centuries, tobacco was a mainstay in the farm economy here. Today, Campbell farmers raise mostly row crops and beef cattle. You could even say they are bullish on cattle.
There is some tobacco still today, but not as much as it used to be. As far as what we do, we raise cattle, and predominantly what we do is raise bulls. We'll raise about 400 bulls a year and sell them to purebred and commercial producers around the county, the state, and the country. And we do that through 2 bull sales a year, and it keeps us plenty busy. We have a whole diversity of row crops, cattle, and also gardeners, which is very important to me. We have a whole lot of gardeners in Campbell County too that sells at these farm markets and all, and that is produce from the farm right straight to the consumer.
Farms in Campbell County generate $24.2 million in farm income every year. About half of that comes from cattle sales, which account for $12.8 million in cash receipts. Much of the farmland is used for forage for cattle. Corn, soybeans, tobacco, and wheat are also part of the landscape. Dairy farms and goat, hog, poultry, and sheep farms round out the livestock sector.
We're in an area where you've got row crops, you've got tobacco, you've got cattle, you've got hay. So it's just a lot of diversity here. You know, you go a couple hours to the east and it's mainly row crops. So you go a couple hours to the west of us and it's mainly cattle. So we're kind of right in that zone where you get a little bit of everything.
Lynchburg is the state's 12th largest city, and the area is steeped in rural tradition. But even here, consumers, especially young children, are unaware of the importance of agriculture in their lives. That's why the Campbell County Farm Bureau Women's Committee hosted a Bluegrass Festival in the spring of 2018 to raise funds for the Virginia Ag in the Classroom program.
There are a number of folks who are about 3 generations removed from the family farm, and so really do not have a lot of knowledge about what goes on the farm. And so Ag in the Classroom exists to fill the gap with that education.
The number of farms in Campbell County increased in recent years as small farmers and the local foods movement have taken hold. Roby says that and the constant improvements in farm technology give him hope for the future.
You know, I can go way back to where we used to plow with the horse. I was brought up in that area. And we have gone from that to the tractor, and also from the tractor to the computer in the tractors and all. And that have saved a whole lot. From a cropping standpoint, we've seen a lot of advances with their GMOs to where we can efficiently crop more acres with fewer man hours, and it also is better for the soil. We don't have to till as much. We don't have to control weeds in different manners other than a simple application of spray. And from a cattle standpoint, we have better tools to predict genetic progress and economically relevant traits, more so than somebody going out into a pasture and saying that one looks good, I'd like to buy that one. We can describe our cattle with numbers and figures and genetic tools.
Bennett says whether they raise crops, cattle, or vegetables, the farmers of Campbell County stay in agriculture because they love what they do. And that is to provide wonderful food for the county, nation, and even the world.
Whether you're growing peppers in the garden or you're growing a calf or a corn crop or whatever you might be doing, that is a rewarding experience because it doesn't happen overnight. It takes planning, it takes persistence, and ultimately down the road you'll have a reward.
In Campbell County, Virginia, I'm Dave Miller.
That's going to do it for this edition of Real Virginia. We are so glad you could join us to celebrate the bounty Virginia has to offer. Whether it's in your home, your garden, or your landscape, we are proud to say that this is Real Virginia. So for everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay.